Hello there, and welcome to the BBA Sports YouTube page. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and I will do my best to provide quality content for you to enjoy. Enjoy the video. Welcome to the Raiders NFL Mock Draft. This will be a full round, first through seventh round mock draft. I'll be doing one for each of the 32 teams as a 32-day series and leading up to the NFL draft. I will go in order of the team's original pick. For example, the Rams don't have a first round pick, but I will go in the 29th spot because they had that original pick. But today we start with the Raiders as the first of the series and the first pick of the draft. All right. Let's get this draft underway. Please excuse the Zoom. I do not have OBS clips set up yet, but we'll be starting with this. So, the Raiders have the first pick of the draft. So let's go ahead and click start. You are on the clock. Yay! And first, we get a whole bunch of trades. I will not be doing any trades because this is a full 7 round mock draft series. So we won't be doing any trades. So, first of all, the Raiders have the first overall pick. As in my top 10 quarterback video I did, Fernando Mendoza is my number one quarterback and my number one player overall in the draft. So, if we look at the Raiders depth chart, you see there is a glaring need, if the ads will stop popping up, at quarterback. Since they only have one quarterback, and it's Aiden O'Connell. Also, drafting the best player at the number one overall pick is the best, and quarterback is perceived as the most important position in all of football. So therefore, drafting Fernando Mendoza is the most logical reasoning. I also really like this pick because, well, they need a starting quarterback and a franchise quarterback, and having Fernando Mendoza will really give you a great starting point for that. Hopefully, he'll turn into a franchise quarterback. Not saying he won't, but also not saying he will, because this is, again, taking no chances, and there is no 100% certainty ever in football. So, the Raiders, with their first round draft choice, will be selecting Fernando Mendoza. Now we wait as picks go by, but as they do that, according to the NFL mock draft base, their next needs are wide receiver, edge, offensive tackle, defensive line, and interior offensive line as their main 6 needs. We already have an A plus from that first pick. It's our time on the clock again. Let me move myself over. Again, not doing any trades. So, we have I really don't like ads. So, with our second round pick, with the 36th overall, let's see who's left on the board. So, just taking off the first glance, you have Caleb Banks, a really good defensive lineman. Ty Simpson is still on the board. That's surprising. Let's see. Let's check out the wide receivers, which is, I feel like, their second biggest need. You have Chris Bell, Chris Brazil, Jeremy Bernard, Zachariah Branch, Malachi Fields still on. So I feel like that's a pretty good receiving. Receivers are one of the better, well-stocked positions of this draft. So maybe drafting a offensive tackle or defensive lineman is better. Caleb Turnin. Seems like most of the tackles were already taken in the draft. Let's see. Let's take a look at interior offensive linemen. If we want to go best player overall, I'd say Caleb Banks is probably the best decision. But if we go by the Raiders' needs, it says wide receiver edge is way more important than the interior defensive line. Hmm. I think I'm going to go Caleb Banks. Caleb Banks. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Dude. Oh, they don't have the size on here. But Caleb Banks, good defensive line and a bad defensive line class. Getting him early, feel like the edge is a little bit more thicker. Definitely down in the third rounds of the draft, especially since we have another third round pick and a few fourths. I feel like this is a pretty good spot to get Caleb Banks. If we go Zion Young, good defense, good edge, maybe. You know what? I think Caleb Banks is the best decision for the Raiders. So let's get. Hey, everybody. Just before we continue the video, please like the video below and subscribe. That would be amazing. I would greatly appreciate it. And my pothos would too. Thank you. Please continue the video. So, as the picks go on, we have a third and two fourths upcoming. The needs, we have adjust quarterback. We definitely need to adjust wide receiver in the third or the fourth round. Definitely give Fernando Mendoza, thank you, a decent wide receiving core. He has Brock Bowers. I'm really excited for that. Definitely would like another offensive tackle to compete with DJ Glaze. Some edge help. I think that would be a very, very good starting for. Oh my goodness, why won't you go away? I find this highly annoying. Oh boy. Can you just like go to the bottom? Just there we go. All right, it's our turn again. Yay! All right, number one on the board according to this is Chris Brazil. Let's see. Jeremy Bernard, Zachariah Branch. Aha! Elijah Surratt is still available. Let's take a quick look at these. They have some big guys and Jack Betch, some Trey Tucker. I feel like, oh, that's going to annoy me so much. Is this a way to move you to the bottom? No? That's annoying. Wait, maybe? Can I put you down? Nope. Okay. Oh my goodness. You can see why this is annoying, right? This is very annoying. I need to stop doing so fast. Slowly. Move it over. There we go. Yay. All right. So I feel like a good receiver. Chris Brazel's a good receiver. Here, let me pull up Chris Brazil just to show you guys a little bit. Loading. All right. 6'4", 32 or inch arms. Ran a 4.37. I really like him. So definitely drafting him would be a great player to try to pair with Fernando Mendoza. However, Ray, are you talking? Thank you. Okay, back to, or we can go Elijah Surratt, who did play with Fernando Mendoza. They do have chemistry together. I think that will be more important for the Raiders to draft someone who has time on task with Fernando Mendoza. So I'm going to go Elijah Surratt, wide receiver. That gives us the top two needs taken care of. Let's try to address some offensive tackle competition, maybe some edge help in the future. Definitely have a really good offensive core around Fernando Mendoza. Get an offensive tackle to help with to help with them. Defense is going really good. Let's check on the mock draft. It's almost up for us. Yep. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and pick all. Okay. And see, I would be very interested if we could go Ted Hurst, but let's see. Let's take a Kieran Crawford is available. Um, let's take a look over here. Austin Barber, interesting. Markel Bell. If we could go later, he would provide some good competition. I think probably the best for them is Karen Crawford, a nice edge from Auburn. That'll give them some edge rotation. And then with their next fourth round pick, drafting maybe Markel Bell or one of the other offensive tackles, whoever is available, to give them some more help. If Ted Hurst is still there, I am definitely will also be thinking about him because having Ted Hurst was taken. So let's go ahead and take a look at the offensive tackles. And I'm thinking Markel Bell. So I really like he has really good passing protection, but needs to work in the run game. So maybe some work on him or Cage Casey's another offensive tackle I like. Isaiah World, that offensive line at Oregon was really good. So let's see. They have a really nice offensive line. Colton Miller, Spencer Buford, Tyler Lindebaum, Jackson Powers Johnson. That right there is a heck of an offensive lineman. Offensive line group is just maybe some competition for DJ Glaze, and whoever wins gets the starting job. Maybe throw Charles Grant in there. I know he plays on the left side, but maybe he can be willing to go to the right side. So let's. I'm gonna go with Markel Bell just because he was on that Miami team that went all the way. I really don't like ads, so this really takes care of our main needs. We still have a fifth, two fifths, a sixth, and then two sevens, whatever. I don't remember what all those are. But we're getting pretty decent grades right now. An A plus, A, B plus, A, B plus. I mean, I'll take that as the start. Let's take a look. Some interior offensive line depth. A tight end to go with maybe. I think probably let's just take a little look at corner. TJ Hall, decent. I like Billy Scroff. Okay, also, I am not good at pronouncing names, so if I'm mispronouncing someone, let me know and I will do my best to try and fix that. But yeah, I'm thinking Billy Scroff right now, definitely because we look at that depth chart. Uh, you've got the guys in the front. It's these guys in the back that need some need some work. So maybe drafting someone. Are we? We're still in the fourth round. Okay, so drafting Billy Scroff, I think, is a decent idea. Yeah, because that's still in the fourth round. Because then there's the fifth, sixth. I don't remember. See, I'm just drafting right now. Right now we're going to the fifth round. If Justin Jolly's still there when it gets to our pick, our next pick is at 175. They're on 161. Let's try maybe going for some defensive edge help, a little bit more edge, maybe, or some back seven help. I always want to look to make sure there isn't any breaking news. Again, no trades. Thank you very much. And also at the same time, we don't want to forget about running back. I know the Raiders have depth chart. There we go. I know the Raiders have where Ash and Genty. They really don't have anybody behind him. And yes, having a starting running back who takes a majority of the snaps is great. But you also want someone behind him just in case. So let's look at the player list. If we're going best player available, I'm gonna say probably Cage Casey. He is on top of the board here, but I also really like him. If we look at running back, Katron Allen, I also really like. He'd be a good every down back, a short down back behind Ashton Genty when you need him to rest up a little bit. If you want to look at some corner, TJ Hall is available. Um, Bishop Fitzgerald's available. I mean, I know it's still a little early for him, but I think I'm going to go Katron Allen. I know we're going a lot of offense, but we're drafting a franchise quarterback in Fernando Mendoza and definitely surrounding him with players that he'll be successful with will lead him to have a greater and easier time adjusting to the NFL. Because let's look at last year. You had Cam Ward, really talented quarterback, that had a hard time adjusting because he did not have a team around him, versus Jackson Dart. Had a lot easier time adjusting because he had somewhat of a team around him. So we want, as the Raiders, they're going to want to make sure that Fernando Mendoza is going to be in the best situation possible that they can put him in. They have an offensive minded head coach. They have Tom Brady on their staff. They're drafting a quarterback with the first overall pick. So definitely making sure that their offense is able and in a good situation for Fernando Mendoza is going to be great. I don't know why I keep clicking. I'm just button happy today. I'm just button happy. All right, so we have three picks left. Definitely want to go best player available, unless there's a guy that I just have to draft him. But is TJ Hall still available? Yes. Drafting him immediately. I know he's not going to start. here, let's pull it up. They have Eric Stokes could compete. Darren Porter is good, decent corner. Terrence Johnson brought in some different guys, but they definitely need the depth behind. So definitely getting some corners, and there's always corners that you can sign to be decent depth players. We have 2 picks left. We're right about on the clock. We are on the clock now. This is the our 6th round pick. So there's not really any corners left. There is still Bishop Fitzgerald, but I view him more of a 7th round pick. I just like him as a 7th round pick. Let's see. Best player available. They say that tight end. If depth chart wise, they have Brock Bowers, they have Michael Mayer. They're good at tight end. If they trade away if they trade away Michael Mayer, then they might need somebody, but that's a really good 1-2 punch. That'll definitely help Fernando Mendoza. Their wide receiver room is going to be very decent. Now adding um, Elijah Surratt there that knows Fernando Mendoza, having a really good defensive line, offensive line. Because when you have a really good offensive line, you're going to keep that pocket clean for him to do what he does best with those quick throws, those quick decisions, that good arm, letting Fernando Mendoza be Fernando Mendoza. All right. So let's see. I mean, go ahead and go for Bishop Fitzgerald. I know it's 6th round, but make sure you draft him. Make sure no one else does. Let's see. I mean, they say it's a great fit. Hezekiah Masses, he's a decent player. Um, you know what? I like that. Hezekiah Masses. Let's go ahead and draft him and hope that Bishop Fitzgerald will be there for the taking. Maybe. Let's go. He's still there. All right, and that is the draft. Well, of our picks. Once the draft is over, I'll do a rundown and then what how I think that would fare. And we'll be done in just a minute. But I think this draft turned out really well. I really like how it turned out for the Raiders. Um, excited to see where this would lead. I think the Raiders are very could potentially be very sneaky a comeback team. I mean, they're in the division with the Broncos that just traded for Jalen Waddle, with Bo Nix that was just in the AFC Championship game. They have the Chargers that are looking to bounce back from a rough end of the season with some injuries. They also have the Chiefs in that division. It's going to be a tough division, but I think it could be a very good division, and they could be in a potential. All right, let's just go here. And bingo, the draft is done. Number one over our 1st round pick, Fernando Mendoza, then Caleb Banks, Elijah Surratt, Kieran Crawford, Markel Bell, Billy Schroth, Katron Allen, TJ Hall, Hezekiah Masses, and Bishop Fitzgerald. This definitely improves the floor of the roster and gives Fernando Mendoza someone he's has time on task with, but also gives these guys more people to compete with. Because you have Jack Beck, the 2nd round pick from last year. You have Trey Tucker, the 3rd round pick from a couple of years ago. You have Jalen Naylor, Dante Thornton, Derek Young. I mean, this is going to be a really decent receiver. He doesn't have a number one guy. His number one guy is Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. Those are the star players, and he has a decent wide receiver core. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to do really well, and the Raiders might just have one more year till they are competing for the playoffs. This is my first episode of the NFL mock draft series before the NFL draft on April 23rd. Thank you for checking this out and hope you guys liked it. Come back tomorrow for the New York Jets mock draft. See you tomorrow. Bye.